Okay, so apparently there is a new AI code editor in town that is poised to challenge the dominance of cursor AI, and it is called Windsurf from Codium. So what makes Windsurf different is that it has a new feature called flows, and flows is essentially just AI agents combined with copilots. So to put it simply, back in the day, if you want to build, let's say, a website, you have to ask, let's say, ChatGPT or Cloud for the code, and then you have to copy and paste the code into, let's say, VS Code, and then you want to link each file together, and then eventually you can see the form of the website. But using Windsurf, it will do everything for you. I mean, everything. Windsurf can create new folders, files, and even install dependency for your project. And I think that's really awesome. So that was just a brief introduction of Windsurf. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can install Windsurf on your computer and how you can start building your first online website or your first online tool using Windsurf. And of course, you don't need to have a coding or technical knowledge. So to get started, you have to download Windsurf to your computer. Windsurf is available in Windows, Mac, and Linux, and you can download the software by going to codium.com/Windsurf, and you can click the download button to get the installer to your computer. And after that, you want to double click on the installer to start the installation process. Okay, now you can read the agreement if you want to, and then you can click I accept agreement and click next. And this is where you can select the directory of the installation. I'm going to be using the default directory and click next. Let's click next again. I usually will enable create a desktop icon so I can access it quickly, and then click next again and click install. Now you just need to wait until the installation process is finished. Now let's launch Windsurf. Click get started, and this is where you can select whether you want to import settings from VS Code or if you want to start fresh. I'm going to be using start fresh option, and this is where you can choose the key bindings for the program. I'm going to be using default, which is the same as in VS Code because Windsurf was built on top of VS Code. Anyway, let's click next, and I'm going to be using dark mode. Let's click next again, and this is where you have to log into your Windsurf account. You can click sign up and it will open a browser, and after that you can register using your email or your Google account, and after that you can come back to the software and continue the setup. Okay, after you have finished the registration, you can come back to the software and you will see this interface. This is Windsurf, and on the right side of the screen you can see there is a new feature called Cascade. This is where you can communicate to the AI about what you are trying to build, and there is also a message that says new to Cascade, try out with a test workspace. You can click on it, and this will give you three different options, three different sample projects that you could start building using Windsurf. But I do recommend to just get your hands dirty and build your first creation right using your own prompt. So click here, and after that you can select the model that you want to use. In this case, I'm going to be using GPT-4o, but of course you could use any model that you find the best. There is a Cloud 3.5 Sonnet. There is also Cascade Base, which is the model that is created by Codium. After that, make sure you enable the write mode. So there are two different modes. One is write, which is for writing codes, and the other is chat, which is for discussion or debugging the software. Make sure to enable write when you want to write the code. Okay, now I'm going to be using this simple prompt to create a Flappy Bird game. The prompt is, I want you to create a Flappy Bird game that can run on a browser. I want the game to be simple and easy to play, use the best coding practices and modern web technologies. Notice that I didn't say anything about what language to use, what framework to use, what technology that the AI should be using. The AI will decide that for you, and I think this is what makes Windsurf so attractive for non-coders. Anyway, let's press the enter button and see what's going to happen. Okay, it is looking good, and the AI just generated these different files. You can click the Explorer menu and you will see that it created a new folder for me, and also it created the game.js. There is also index.html. There is also style CSS. So these are three different files that the AI is generated for me. And what I need to do now is I just need to click the accept button to accept all the code that the AI has created for me. And after that, I can start playing the game. So I just need to launch this index.html file using a browser. I'm going to refill it on Explorer, and I'm going to launch the game using Google Chrome. Okay, this is the game. Is it good? Absolutely not. This is definitely not working, but that is the beauty about using AI prompt. You can always tell AI about what's going on, and then you can try to fix the problem. But in this case, I'm going to be using something different. I'm going to be using Cloud 3.5 Sonnet instead of GPT-4o. So I can go back, I can scroll to the top, and I'm going to be clicking refer to this tab. So basically, I'm going to undo everything, and I'm going to do it again. And this time around, I'm gonna be using Cloud 3.5 Sonnet, and hopefully it will be different. Okay, so far so good, and it has created index.html, style.css, and also game.js that's still ongoing. I just need to wait until it finishes. Okay, it's looking great. I'm going to click accept all, and I'm going to try again. Let's open index.html, and this is the game that it created for me. It's barely visible. I don't like the color, so I'm going to ask the AI to modify the color to make it look more contrast. Let's go back to Windsurf, and I'm going to tell the AI that I don't like the color. This is the request that I'm going to send to the AI. I don't like the color, please make it more contrast and visible. I also want to make the screen area of the game a lot bigger, and press enter, and hopefully it will fix the problems that I encounter with the game. As you can see, it is modifying the CSS file, which is the file that is responsible for the look of the game. You can review the code and you can accept the changes if needed. You can accept it one by one, or you can also just click accept all changes for the entire code on this file. Now let's click accept all and see what's going to happen. Let's refresh the page, and we got this new look of the game. I'm going to start the game, and wow, this is definitely a lot better. The game mechanic is still the same, and I can use the keyboard key space to control the bird. This is definitely not a bird. This is just a circle that looks like a bird but not a real bird, because again we have to provide the asset like images or 3D models or video into the game if you want to make it more realistic. But for a game that is created purely with the code, and not to mention we don't do anything about coding, we just tell the AI about what to build, I think this is quite impressive. So yeah, that is the kind of thing that you can build with Windsurf. You literally don't need to have any coding or technical knowledge because the AI can decide it for you. And I think this is as bad as it's gonna get, and I think in the future, I mean in less than a year or so, I believe that this AI will be improved by a lot, to the point that now everyday people can start building their own software with just a simple prompt. And I think it's going to happen given the progression of generative AI that we have seen in the last few years or so. And if you are a new user of Windsurf, you're actually getting 2 weeks of free trial for the pro account, and after that you can continue for $10 a month, which is a lot cheaper than the $20 a month for the cursor.com. So I think that's a huge win for Codium. Anyway, that's it for today, and I'm gonna be sharing more tips and tutorials about coding by prompting in the future. So if you want to see more like this, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.